Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suhei with Suhei Plans. I like to create journaling and planning content here on YouTube as well as on Instagram and TikTok. In today's video, I am sharing with you a setup of my new career journal, the newest journal to my existing stack. I am housing this career journal in a Leuchtturm1917 411 notebook. I will link a full review of this notebook below. Now, before we jump in, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button below if you found any value in today's conversation. So let's start with kind of where the idea for this planner came about. One of my goals for 2025 was to really start thinking about and be intentional about thinking about my career for the next 2 decades or so. I know that sounds kind of obscene, but I am turning 40 this year. I already have about 12 years in the current career that I'm in. I work full time. I'm a mom and I have a career. I work in higher education and I've been in that field for about 12 years now. And as I'm turning I'm turning the corner of another century. I'm sorry, oh my goodness, a decade. As I turn the corner in another decade of my life, I kind of feel like I really need to start thinking about what the next 20 years of my career is going to look like. I know that sounds like an eternity, but the years really do go fast. And I think, when you have children, as I do, and you have a family, it just takes longer to pivot and to make changes in your life and your career. So the more intentional I could be about the next 20 years, the better. And I say 20 years because, I would love to retire around the age of 60. It could take me a little longer. It could be a little sooner, but that's kind of what I'm estimating I have left in my working years. So not only do I want to be intentional about the next 20 years, but I also want to think about, this is probably also some of the most productive years of my life. I am not confident that I am going to perform with the same zest and energy as I do right now at year 40 than I will at year 55. I am changing, I am getting older, I am evolving, my life is changing. I also want to really be intentional about this next decade or so. That's probably going to be some of the most productive years that I have. So for all of those reasons, that seems so lofty and so serious, but I promise you, life is really just needs that much intention. And my children, right, my hobbies, but my job is, it takes up a massive amount of time. It's a huge part of my life, right? So why not be as intentional with that as I am with everything else? So here is where the career journal idea comes in. When I saw the Leuchtturm 411, it just really clicked as the right medium for a career journal. It's big, it's chunky. We'll see if this will last me 20 years, right? But we know that the quality of Leuchtturm notebooks are there. This is a hardcover. It has beautiful paper. It's acid free. It's just a wonderful notebook with a lot of amazing features that just kind of rang as a good fit for this idea for a career journal. Again, the goal is that it may last maybe 20 years. So we'll see, right? But it's a place where I can be intentional about where I am in my career, the decisions I'm making, the things that I want to do, the skills that I want to develop, the next steps I want to take. And so I really want to be intentional about all of that. And that's going to be happening in this notebook. So this is in the Dusty Rose, which I also thought was just the best and the most beautiful color. This is with natural lighting and it is just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. But I also could have done like a black or something more professional. This particular notebook comes in 4 colors. And again, I will link it below. So I have this little like heart card that my daughter gave me that I think is a great motivation for thinking about my career progress. Dear mom, thank you for all the hard work you have done for this family. You are the best mom ever. That's just so motivational. This yes girl, yes sticker. I love it so much. So I just think it's perfect to keep it here in my career journal. At the beginning, I have a name sticker, and then I just have like my purpose and intention statement for this career journal. And this is very personal to me, and you can use this space however you'd like, but I've written this career journal serves as a dedicated space for me to document my professional journey and help me achieve sustainable and fulfilling professional growth that supports my future financial goals while maintaining a work-life balance. So something that I really wanted to make sure that I keep like laser focused on in this journal is that I work to achieve, I work because it is fulfilling, absolutely. But I also work to achieve certain financial goals. But while I do that, I also still want to maintain a work-life balance with my family. So I thought having a purpose statement for this notebook, keeping in mind some major values of mine, I thought would be good to keep at the front here, so I don't lose focus on why I'm doing this. All right, so in the index pages, I've just jotted down some of the sections that I have in my career journal. I also have a little page flag where I've documented how many dots, because this is dot grid paper, how many dots go down the page and how many dots go across the page. So for when I want to kind of split things up evenly, I can always refer to that little reference there. And here I'm just listing the pages. The entire notebook from after the index is numbered, so I can really keep track of everything in this journal, which is another really good reason why this was a good fit for it. And I've just written down all the topics for what I have so far. All right, so let's jump into the actual meat and potatoes and how I've set up my journal. So I've skipped a page because I'm just like, I don't know, paranoid like that. So after that, starting on page 2, I've put together a timeline of my career. I would say that maybe that's not quite accurate. This is more like a timeline of my work experience leading up to the current moment that I'm in. I have photos of so many different things in my life, and my very, very first internship at a Head Start program, which is kind of like daycare. It's kind of like daycare. This was my first internship in junior high. Gosh, in middle school, right? And I still have a picture of that time, and I started my career experience there with that moment. And then I have a bunch of other jobs and things that I've done, graduation, different work things. But I really started with that internship experience in middle school, which is so cool to be able to have taken advantage of. So my undergraduate degree, the part-time jobs I've had, I had a job at Express, the clothing store. I documented the 2008 recession because that was a very important factor in my life. And I used Canva to print out these photos in equal size little rounded rectangles here to keep everything looking very even and the same. Printed them out of my printer and just used glue to stick them down. I did do this in pencil ahead of time just so I could make sure things looked very neat. Then on page 2, things continue, and we're much more in like the current years that I'm in. For the more recent years, I have listed years, like the exact years for these different things that happen career-wise. I honestly couldn't get the dates very straight with my experience prior to 2008. So I kind of just left that like that. But moving forward, I'm going to have the dates of the year for each of these big life moments moving forward. This is the job I'm currently in now, and then I'm leaving some space for what may happen in the next 20 years. So I left some blank space on this page, and then 2 more blank dot grid pages for what's to come. Yeah, so I think it's just nice. Nostalgia is one of my favorite emotions. So like having this timeline was a no-brainer for me. I would just love, and it's really nice to kind of look at your life in terms of your jobs, your internships, your volunteer experiences. It's like a visual resume of my life, right? And it's exciting to kind of leave it unfinished, right? Because there's still more excitement to come. So I thought, so this was very like fun, and I really enjoyed doing this. I scattered my Facebook and my phone for just old photos, of me throughout the years doing different things. So then after that, I jump into a hold on, 3-page spread for my career history. So so for this, I really, you can do this in a lot of different ways, but I decided to not go back too far into time. Like, I'm not going to write about that middle school internship experience here. I'm just going back 1 or 2 jobs to the present job that I'm in to write about those experiences. The role, the company, the overview, my supervisor's name, things I liked, things I didn't like, skills and lessons that I learned, strengths and achievements in the role, challenges in the role, and then a short reflection. Because of my particular career experience, before the job that I'm in right now, I was in my previous role for 8 years. So, because I was there for so long, I only decided to have one job to note the career history for. But you could do this as many times as you'd like. And I think this might be a good time to mention that a lot of the inspiration for setting up this journal, or like what it was going to include, is based on this Aspire Career Designer journal by LH Agenda. I am not sure if this is still something that they offer in their shop, but this was really, really helpful in helping me think about what I wanted my career journal to look like. So a lot of this inspiration for my career history came directly from this book. I think also thinking about my career timeline, there is also a page for that here. Yeah, so I've obviously kind of reinvented or done things my own way in my journal, but this was very helpful in inspiring me and helping me think about what I wanted this journal to include. So I will link that below. Hopefully it is still available. And maybe you choose not to DIY it like I did, and you just pick something like this up. So just definitely needed to give that credit where credit is due. All right, so I have that career history pages. I made like a dashboard that I think looks so DIY, and that's fine, but I really do like this quote from Sheryl Sandberg: "Careers are a jungle gym, not a ladder." I think that's so important to remember. I couldn't think of a better quote to include in this journal. And it was a fun, like, little mindless activity where I could color, right? All right, so then I have blank grid after that. Then I have an annual salary tracker where I'm tracking the period, the salary, and any notes related to that year. In hindsight, I might have made these buckets a little wider, but again, we're anticipating 20 more years of working, so I did want to also fit enough. And just in case things change, I kind of think it's important to track annual salary. Some years things change and situations change and things fluctuate, so I think it's a good thing to look at salary over time. It's easy to also let the years pass and kind of not be making any more than you were 5 years ago, and maybe letting that be a realization that maybe it's time to ask for a raise, or maybe it's time to look for a position that can offer more, etc. Right? So that's something that I thought would be worthwhile to track. So after that, and I do have some more trackers here. So after that, I have a professional development tracker. And this is kind of like a cover page for it. Very DIY. I'm not like There are definitely more creative girlies out there, but that's not the point, right? Not for me anyway. So then what I'm doing in the following pages is tracking opportunities, what I learned from those opportunities, how I think they would help me in my career, how this will help my organization, and the date I completed it. So let's say I did a training on Microsoft Excel, right? I would write what the opportunity was, what I learned, how it would help me, and the day how this will help my organization, and the day that I completed that Microsoft Excel training. And so this is a great place for me to start tracking all the things that I'm doing to grow as a professional, not just for the role that I'm in at the moment, but for the future as well. And I think I'm not really keeping track of this stuff. I just kind of do the things, thumbs up, it happened, but I'm not really documenting that growth anywhere. So I thought this would be a good place to do that. And I have 3 spreads. One, 2, 3 spreads that ask the same questions. What was the opportunity? What were the key learning outcomes? How it'll help me in my career, organization, and date completed. I know you can see the see-through very well through as we've kind of walked through this, and it doesn't really bother me, but it's something to kind of think about when if you're thinking about something like this, but it doesn't bother me. So after that, now I have a 2025 cover page. I really was thinking hard about like what the front matter of this journal would be. Like I think my timeline, tracking my salary, tracking my PD, career history, I thought that those were appropriate things to precede my journal. But the nice thing about the Leuchtturm is that if I decide, oh, you know what, I could add a tracker that I use over many, many years, I can just note the page and put it here in my index. So it's not the end of the world if I do think of a new tracker that I want to add 5 years from now, right? I can still keep track of it using this index. But around here is where I decided that I want to start reflections for the year 2025, or just to speak about the year 2025. So on the left-hand side, I have what's called an annual purpose assessment. This is something that I would do every year where I write down, like I fill out this matrix where I'm writing what I love, what I'm good at, what the world needs, and what I can be paid for. And really thinking about those 4 questions. And let me zoom in a little bit while we're here. Really thinking about those 4 questions at the start of every year. On the right-hand side, I have just some notes related to professional competencies for my particular career. Many careers or many, jobs or organizations should have like standards for performance. Think about writing what those standards are for that year here. And that can change. Maybe it doesn't change every year, but maybe every 5 years, right? Especially as technology keeps moving forward. Just writing down what are the standards and expectations of the job that I'm in, of the career track that I'm on, and always keeping those in mind. Then after that, I have the professional competencies in my area. And then I'm just going to rate myself from 1 to 10. Obviously 10 being, I feel very strong and confident in that area. And then the second kind of rating is like, how important is that competency to my role? So for example, technology is super important competency. You feel like you're at a 9, but then your job, you don't need to be super tech savvy. So then you might write like a 6. So it's important to think about where your strengths are, but also what strengths are important to the role that you're in, right? And making sure those things kind of align. This will also help me in thinking about what areas I want to improve upon. This could definitely be more than just a 2 pages in, like, if you're thinking about doing something like this for yourself. But I thought this kind of suffices for me personally. Then after those competencies, I just have a page where I have my current like my current professional photo, and I'm just going to reflect on the current job that I'm in. When I started, who my supervisor was, what the title, division, my direct reports, and just write anything in relation to my current role. How I'm feeling about it, how it's been going, what are some maybe major milestones, some challenges, etc. And just do a reflection on the job that I'm in 2025. If I'm in this same job in 2026, that's fine. I'm going to have the same spread, but who knows? Maybe my supervisor will change. Maybe the division will change. My direct reports can certainly change as well. So this is still worth doing every year, because every year your job could look slightly different, even though you have the same title. And so that's what I'm planning to do every year in this journal. All right, so then after that, I just have some sticky notes here, but I'll flip really quickly. Okay, just to kind of explain what those are. So after my current role page, I am going to start actually journaling and reflections in the following pages. And I'm going to journal and reflect as much as I need to. And I could do short sentences. I could do bullet points. I could do long paragraph writing, but I'm just going to do reflections in the pages to follow until I reach 2026, where I'll demarcate, I'll put a big 2026, or I'll decorate it or what have you. And then I'll start a new year and I'll do some of the same. I'll do that annual purpose assessment. I'll look at the standards. I'll talk about my current role, and the rest to follow will be journaling pages, and so on and so forth. And we'll see how far we get, like how many years I can get out of this one book. But I am not going to stress about using too many or too few pages. I'm just going to write as much as I need to write. And so these sticky notes that I have here are just a few things that have happened at work lately that I want to reflect on, but I wanted to hold off until I did this video, just because there are some personal things in here. And so I wanted to just quickly jot them down so I can start journaling after I shared this video with you guys. This will be really simple. I'll probably put like a date on the top right or the top left corner and just start journaling. And that'll be kind of what actively engaging in this journal looks like until I reach 2026. And again, if I do have an idea for a new tracker, something that I can use beyond 2025, again, I'll just note the page and write it down in my index. I also have 2 ribbon bookmarks here, so I can always keep one where I'm at in my journaling. And the other one, I don't know, I can keep it in my professional competencies page. I can keep it in, maybe the professional development spreads, or I can just use this really, or just even, I know it's kind of at the beginning of the book, but I could also just put it on my index. So having those 2-page markers is also pretty handy. And so that is how I'm envisioning the rest of my career journal and how I've set up the beginning. I think in the back I just have a pen test, so nothing there that's super important. Yeah. And I have a pocket here where I haven't really put anything except an old business card. So what a good place to kind of keep old business cards, in this back pocket. So thought I'd place it in there. Yeah. And so that is my newest journal edition, my career journal. I have a journal for my children. I have a journal for me, like my personal journal. And I have journals for things that I'm really passionate about. I love movies and books and shows, and I have a journal for that. So this one feels long overdue, right? How much time when you work 8-hour day, 40-hour weeks, right? And your life is my life is very, very much consumed by my job. So why not have as much intention with my work as I do with everything else in my life? So I am excited to jump in and really start using this and start reflecting and journaling. I'm setting myself a goal for at least 1 entry every week I already have a lot of things to keep up with, so I don't want to feel overly burdened by adding this new journal, but this is important, right? I spend a very large majority of my life working, so it is also important. So I'm going to really try to dedicate at least one journal entry per week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I haven't really seen a lot of these or this kind of a thing out there. I definitely tried, but I couldn't find a lot that was out there. So hopefully this could inspire some folks out there to think about, doing more intentional reflecting on your job and your career. It really does take so much of our lives, right? I think it is really worth the time to invest in something like this. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.